Reverend Willie T. Barrow. Willie Taplin was born on December 7, 1924. She was the second to last of 7 children. She grew up on a rural farm in Burton, Texas, a town which even by 2003 only had a population of 353. Her father was the local pastor, and at 16 she herself felt the call to ministry. Willie went on to study at Warner Pacific Theological Seminary in Portland, Oregon. She graduated and became an ordained minister. While working at a shipyard in the Portland area, she met Clyde Barrow. They got married in January of 1945 and moved to Chicago the following July. Willie T. Barrow is well known for being an astounding female activist. She started Operation Breadbasket, which helps deprive people out with housing, food, and finding jobs. Breadbasket soon led into Operation Push, which stood for People United to Save Humanity, and later came to stand for People United to Serve Humanity, an operation which she became the first woman to serve as national president of. She led a delegation to Vietnam to try and communicate a treaty with them. She also was the campaign leader for Jesse Jackson's presidential campaign and many of his speeches. She also organized speeches and marches for Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, she even worked at the famous March on Washington.
And I was more or less the action arm, the service arm of the organization.
Opposition stood in her way from the time she was very young. Growing up in the 1930s in the Deep South, Willie faced segregation and discrimination. She had to walk 10 miles to school because black children were not allowed to ride the bus. In an interview, she laughed, recalling that segregated school now has a black superintendent. She also had to deal with being a woman in a patriarchal society. Women's opinions were simply not listened to. Willie was also involved in a male-dominated profession, and still to this day many denominations do not accept female ministers. Willie Barrow says of being a woman,
I think, again, we don't know our purpose. We don't know that what God's intention is for us to run his world. See, when he made Adam and then created Eve, he created managers to run his world. That's why we can be scientists. That's why we can be anything we want to be. We got to get out of being sex objects to be manipulated, but subjects to be understood. I tell any of them, don't hit on me. Hit on my brains. Don't hit on my butt, my brains. And because God gave us intelligence, and he wants us to use it for the building and the rebuilding of his world. And that's what we're all about. A female I was born. A woman I grew to be. A mother I'm proud to be. A Christian I chose to be. And a minister I was called to be.
Willie T. Barrow is also known as the Princess of Protest because she is well known for speaking her mind. She was very religious and tended to tie religion into a lot of the things she spoke and did in the communities. As with Jesus, she led through direct service to people, listening to their needs and working hands-on to improve their situation.
We would be out there with the people, talking with the people, finding out what their problems were. The phone rings, Jesse gone to the airport, but I got to be there to answer that phone. And not just answer and say, he's not here, but to service those people.
Though never at the foreground of the cause, Willie Barrow's service to her community has been highly recognized. She has received a plethora of awards such as the Champion of Freedom Award, Chicago's Woman of the Year 1969, the Image Award from the League of Black Women, the Christian Women Conference History Makers Award, and the Bill Berry Civil Rights Award. Unlike many of the civil rights leaders, she has lived long enough to see many of the dreams come into fruition. She remains highly respected and still speaks at a... Willie Barrow is remarkable because she is a strong woman. She faced political and family difficulty and still chose to help her community. When her son died of AIDS, she joined several gay rights movements and still helped Jesse Jackson in his campaign. She's known as the Little Warrior for a reason. She helped many people who were financially challenged with her operations and is constantly speaking out if she feels the community needs her help. She has achieved so much and is a great woman for girls to look up to.
Don't turn me down because I'm 4 feet 11 inches. Don't take my height for granted. I am a manager for God, and I speak and I take care. Service is power. Need is the basis of organization. When you can see people's need, see the community needs, see the world needs, then you just respond to those needs. And I've always known my place. And my place has been, I can preach, I can speak, and I can organize. All of that, that's the Trinity in my life.
Reverend Barrow was a manager and an organizer for many of the largest movements in American history. She never had to be in the spotlight to know she was making a difference. She found the most valuable thing a person could do to help someone is to hear someone. The kind of woman she was and the kind of leader she was can be summed up in her statement that service is power. These views and practices of hers caused me to most closely identify Willie B. with Eli in the book Ender's Game. Willie is known for helping legendary leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Jesse Jackson. However, she stood in the background and let her service to them serve a larger group of people. This is very similar to Eli's relationship with Ender. Also like Eli, she has a brilliance all of her own and is capable and is even more capable than those she honors as her superiors.
I'm a very stable person because God has called me to stabilize, organize, and to make sure that his plans are carried out. And I'm committed to that.